€1, €1.
Okay, Tiamat,
More,
joining to
more
you.
public, more money.
More public, more money.
All systems online.
You,
I
you,
am.
you, you have to put insert coin here, public in your
Yeah, I'm going to make a tattoo in my put ATM. You know. I believe I can have ESP. I hate the EMP. Yeah. What happened, man? I don't have ESP now. You are lucky. I'm shooting without people.
Tiamat, on the antenna. Oh, Umi is here.
What's up, citizens and dogfighting degenerates? Welcome back. Today we're doing something a little different. We're not just reviewing a ship, we're going on a deep, educational dive into what I genuinely believe is one of the most underrated, misunderstood, and potentially game-changing light fighters in Star Citizen, the Anvil Hawk. Now, I know what you're thinking. Monkey, the Hawk? Really? In a universe absolutely dominated by the meta-picks, you almost never see this ship. But that's precisely why we're talking about it now. I've always had a soft spot for this little beast, but a recent critical change to how EMPs work, they can now destroy incoming missiles, has, in my opinion, dragged the Hawk out of obscurity and potentially into the spotlight as a highly viable PvP machine. So this video is going to answer the big questions. Is the Anvil Hawk a true hidden gem? Is it a niche, high-skill ship that can actually upset the current meta? Or is it just a glass fighter with a fancy light switch? To find out, we spent hours and hours testing this thing. We focused primarily on its matchups against light and medium fighters, but for the sake of science, we also threw it against some heavies and gunships. And before I go on, I have to give a massive, heartfelt shout out and thank you to my org mate, Pavlik. This video literally wouldn't be possible without him. The man is a true legend. He stayed with me for hours and burned through all his in-game REC to make these matchups happen so we could bring you all this data. So grab a drink, get comfortable. We're about to dissect the Anvil Hawk piece by piece. Alright, so what is the Anvil Hawk? CIG's brochure calls it a small light fighter with an emphasis on weaponry, a perfect ship for independent bounty hunters or local security. That's the marketing pitch. Now let's dissect the reality. First up, let's talk survivability. On paper, the numbers are incredibly deceiving. The Hawk has around 11,300 total hull health points. If you compare that to a Gladius, which has roughly 8,300, you'd think the Hawk is a solid 30% tankier. But in practice, it feels significantly weaker. You're probably asking, how does that make any sense? Well, the truth comes down to two things: hitboxes and component health. The Gladius's nose has about 2,000 health. The Hawk's nose, the part you will be presenting to your enemy in almost every single fight, has only 1,500. That's a 25% drop in health, right where it matters most. So where's that extra 3,000 health points coming from? A good chunk of it is in a separate tail part that rarely gets hit in a head-on dogfight. Compounding this is its physical profile. The Hawk is less long than a Gladius, but it's much wider and nearly double the height. It's just a fatter, easier target. It's incredibly easy for an opponent to keep all their shots focused right on your weakest point, the nose. And when your shields drop, you have to be so careful. When shots start hitting the hull, things just love to break off. Wings, guns, and especially the EMP generator itself. The EMP is one of the most fragile components on the ship. A few stray shots on it, and it's gone. Okay, so it's not tanky, it must be nimble, right? Well, sort of. Let's look at the numbers. With boost, the Hawk has a pitch of 78 degrees per second and a yaw of 57.6. The Gladius, by comparison, boasts an 84-degree pitch and a 62-degree yaw. The bottom line is, in every aspect, pitch, yaw and roll, the Hawk is about 10 to 20% slower and less agile than its light fighter counterparts. You can feel it. It's a heavier, less responsive ship. However, it's still about 10 to 20% more maneuverable than any of the medium fighters. This puts the Hawk in this very strange, but very interesting, performance bracket. It's not fast enough to outdance other lights, but it's just agile enough to dictate the terms of an engagement against mediums. It has just enough of an edge to make its unique toolset work. The Hawk comes armed with 4 size 2 and 2 size 1 gun hardpoints, and while it has no missiles, it has its ace in the hole, the EMP. Now your weapon choice is critical. In the PU, the NDB neutron repeaters are the best choice. Why? Because the Hawk forces you to be aggressive and get close. NDBs do about 80% more damage at close range, which perfectly complements that playstyle. Yes, their velocity is lower at 1400 meters per second, but if you're playing the Hawk right, you'll be in their face anyway. In Arena Commander, however, the game is different. Committing to a close-range push means you're going to eat a lot of damage. So in AC, I actually prefer CF laser repeaters. They allow you to play at a bit more of a distance, poke at shields, and only commit for that EMP blast when you know it's a sure thing. Regardless of your choice, the gun spread on the Hawk is fantastic. Because the weapons are so widely placed, at distances like 800 meters, your shots cover a huge area. It feels like you're throwing a blanket of fire, making it much harder for opponents to evade all damage. The core of this ship, though, is that EMP. Its charge time is incredibly fast, cycling from 0 to full in about 10 to 12 seconds. And it has no cooldown. At least that's how it felt during our testing. Now its most effective, devastating range is between 250 and 400 meters. A fully charged pop in this sweet spot will disable a light fighter's radar and targeting systems for a solid 5 to 6 seconds, which definitely feels like an eternity in a dogfight. 2 of those EMPs will shut them down completely. This is why it's considered your main win condition. From the pilot seat, the experience is decent. The visibility isn't as clean as a Gladius, especially when you're trying to look back, but it's good enough that it shouldn't be a major issue. I will say, as kind of useless as it is, I absolutely love the little window between your legs. It just adds to the character. As for practicality, it lacks an external gun rack, and that bounty cell in the back might as well be painted on, as it offers no usable space. But let's be honest, you don't buy a fighter to be practical. You buy it to fight, and the Hawk does that job in its own unique way. I have to be upfront about this. This is not a beginner-friendly ship. If you jump in and try to fly it like a Gladius, you will get frustrated, you will get blown up, and you will think the ship is trash. The Hawk demands discipline, a different mindset, and a really good fundamental understanding of the game's mechanics. Because your win condition is that close-range EMP, you have to master closing the distance at precisely the right moment. There are 2 fundamental skills you need to drill until they're second nature. Let's start with the most fundamental skill you need, neutralizing the pip. The pip is your aiming reticle. Neutralizing it simply means using your strafe controls to put that pip directly on top of your opponent's ship model. If the pip is above them, you strafe up. If it's to their left, you strafe left. This is the basic way to line up a shot. Just a quick disclaimer. This is when you're using a lead pip. It's the reverse for a lag pip. Now, let's evolve that skill into an aggressive technique. The goal is to neutralize the pip using your forward strafe. To do this, you have to anticipate the enemy's flight path and point your nose far ahead of where they are. This angle allows you to use your most powerful thruster, your forward strafe, to drive the pip onto the target. By doing this, you're forcing an intercept and closing the distance at the highest possible speed. Now, a quick note on this. People think this is just for the initial merge when someone is running away, but the reality is you will be doing this constantly in a close-range fight to keep closing those last few meters, especially against other light fighters that are more agile than you. So when do you use these techniques? The playbook is all about patience and picking your moment. You have to start the fight defensively, using your size and gun spread to chip away at shields from a distance. Your window of opportunity only opens when their shields become critical. Against a light fighter, that moment comes once their shields are low. That's when you commit. Go full aggressive. Use the techniques we just covered to close that gap to under 400 meters and pop the EMP. That 5 to 6 seconds of them being blind is usually more than enough time for you to finish the job. However, your approach needs to adapt when you face a medium fighter. You have the maneuverability advantage, but you absolutely cannot tank their heavy damage. So you must be even more patient. I wait until their shields are completely down before I even think about committing. Once they are, I check my own resources to make sure I have enough shields and boost, and only then do I push in for the kill. Executing this strategy correctly also relies on having the right gear for the right battlefield. My go-to component builds are specifically tailored for this. For Arena Commander, I run a Lumacore power plant, 2 Palisade shields, and a Vapor Block cooler. You can get away with this because you don't care as much about emissions since flares work more reliably there. But for the PU, the stealth hybrid build is key. I use a Slipstream power plant, a Drift Quantum Drive, 2 FR66 Military A shields, and 1 Vapor Block cooler. This build only lets you put 3 pips to shields, but it allowed me to evade every single missile over a 4-hour test session with just 5 flares. That reduced signature is your lifeblood in the missile-heavy PU. Okay, I also realised a lot of my org mates had no clue how to make the EMP work, so they just shied away from the ship entirely. So let's fix that right now, so all of you can get the same dopamine hit I get when I fly this thing. In your ship, go to your MFDs and find the power management page. Make sure you leave at least 1 power point available. On that same page, scroll left to the items menu, switch on your EMP, it's the Thunderbolt icon. Now go to your weapons group MFD page. Find the EMP in the list and toggle it to weapon group 3. Finally, go into your game options, then Keybindings, find vehicle weapons, and scroll to fire weapon group 3. Bind this to a key or button that is easily accessible mid-fight. Now you're ready to switch off some ships. Alright, the nitty-gritty. How does the Hawk actually perform in combat? First, let's talk about its one-on-one performance, starting with the light fighters. Against pilots of a similar, very high skill level, these matchups are closer than you'd think. A good Gladius or Talon pilot will probably beat you 6 out of 10 times. The Arrow struggled more. I'd say the Hawk wins that 6 out of 10 times, and the Blade felt like a dead-even 5-5 split. Overall, the Hawk has about a 45 to 50% win rate against meta light fighters in the hands of a skilled pilot. Just remember, they all move better than you, so you have to be proactive, not reactive.
No, I don't have. Wow. Wow. You. Hey, good job, man. Easy. No, I lost the target. I don't see you. What pip is for? No, I'm off. I don't understand the pip. No, I lost the pip. don't know where are you. No! 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 I don't like the blade. No! I'm dead.
When you step up against medium fighters, the dynamic shifts slightly. Here, you have just enough maneuverability to outturn your opponents, giving you around a 55 to 60% win rate. But this is where pilot skill becomes a massive factor. A more casual player will struggle immensely here. Against a top-tier F7A pilot, it's tough, maybe 7-3 in the Hornet's favour. But if the pilot skill for both was lower, I think it would be a 10-0 for the F7A, just due to the simple fact that the Hornet is just so much easier and more forgiving for beginner pilots. While the Hornet represents the peak of that difficulty, the picture changes against other common mediums. The Sabre, for instance, offers a much closer 5-5 engagement. This is largely due to a key vulnerability: its size 1 power plant. Unlike the F7A's robust size 2, the Sabre's systems are far more susceptible to disruption, leaving its targeting vulnerable for longer. From there, the matchups become even more favourable. The Santok proved to be one of the weakest opponents, with an 8-2 win ratio for the Hawk, while the Scythe also fell consistently in a 7-3 matchup.
One off? Maybe you're too far. No, 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 no. I have peep. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm dead. Yeah, I know. What happened? Yeah, I lost the target. No, you don't take me. I use. No, it's broke my the button, the button, yeah. Yeah, yeah. I'm enough. Wow! Oh! I tried to do back strafe. No. Oh. Why you don't die? Wow.
And finally, let's look at solo heavy fighters. The Hawk just eats them up. It's a 9 out of 10 win. It's too nimble for them to handle. Don't get me wrong, they'll have an easier time killing you than a Gladius because you're a bigger target, but it's a very hard fight for them. For reference, 2 full EMPs will shut down a normal Guardian, while a beast like the Guardian MX, or an F8C, will take 3.
No! No. Yeah. Easy! I lose the target. I have the target now. I'm off.
The Hawk is a solo or small duo trio ship. In larger battles, its weaknesses become crippling. In Arena Commander's squadron battle, you are a friendly fire menace. You will EMP your teammates and get kicked. In the PU, when you charge that EMP, you become a giant glowing shoot me sign. You become, as I like to say, any murder hobo's wet dream. For big fleet fights, leave it in the hangar. But in that small squad, chaotic PU environment, that's where this thing comes alive. For a solo pilot, a duo, or a three-person squad, the Hawk absolutely excels and always tends to surprise people who underestimate it. Let me give you a perfect example from a recent session. I was out with two friends trying to hunt down a bounty hunting contract. Suddenly, we got jumped by a wing of 5 ships, 2 Gladiuses, 2 Sabre Firebirds, and an enemy Talon. It was a messy, chaotic fight, and we were outnumbered. But even in that situation, the Hawk's ability to single out our bounty, shut him down with the EMP, and create an opportunity was the game changer. Now don't get me wrong, it wasn't a clean fight. Pavlik crashed into the ground before even firing, so we really had to work for it. But at the end of the day, we still managed to put the guy we were hunting in jail, despite the ambush. It just proves that in those smaller, messier PU engagements, the Hawk is an incredibly effective ship that can absolutely punch above its weight and allow you to control the terms of the fight. And for PvE, it's actually pretty decent. I tried an HRT bounty with the NDB loadout and it was super easy. You can definitely do VHRTs efficiently in this thing, but you have to remember, ballistics and this ship do not like each other. If you get hit by a lot of ballistic fire, parts will start flying off very quickly. So I wouldn't take it against anything higher than a VHRT. It's not the best PvE ship, but it absolutely works. So my final verdict on the Anvil Hawk: it's balanced, it's niche, and it is absolutely one of the most underrated hidden gems in Star Citizen. But let me be crystal clear, it is not for beginners. Let's break it down. The good. It excels in 1 versus 1s with great damage and that wide gun spread. The EMP is a unique, powerful fight-winning tool that catches so many people by surprise. It's a phenomenal solo bounty hunting ship. The bad, the EMP generator is incredibly fragile. The ship itself is made of paper and loves to fall apart. It has a very high skill floor and can be brutally frustrating to learn. The EMP is buggy. Sometimes it just doesn't register, and there's a terrible audio bug where if it breaks as you fire, the sound loops endlessly and will make you want to crash into the closest asteroid just to escape the nightmare. It's for the aggressive pilot who loves solo PvP and wants a real challenge. It's for the player who wants to master something new that can actually take on the meta. Is it worth the UEC? 1000% yes. It's extremely cheap in-game. Is it worth $100? That's subjective, and not what this video is about. My personal take, I absolutely love flying this ship because it's so underrated. I love that it's a challenge. I love that I don't need to fly a sweaty meta ship to do well. There is something so incredibly satisfying about taking out a meta ship with something that's considered off-meta, and the EMP mechanic has always been my favourite. Switching a ship off and and watching it glide helplessly into the abyss is just pure dopamine. I'm a dopamine junkie, that's why I love PvP, and the Hawk delivers that in spades. It's a ship of contradictions. It forces you to get close but flies worse than other lights. It's a big target but is made of paper. Yet somehow it still does the job. The moments you land that perfect EMP are pure bliss. The moments your EMP gets shot off in the first pass are pure frustration. But that's the fun of it. It's a breath of fresh air. If you're looking for a challenge that will give you some of the most satisfying kills in the verse, you have to give the Anvil Hawk a try. So that's my take, but I want to hear yours. What do you guys think about the Anvil Hawk? Do you think it will be more viable with the new patch and the EMPs being able to destroy missiles? What do you love about it? What do you absolutely hate? Drop all of it down in the comments below. Share your stories. I want to see them all. And as always, thank you so much for the incredible support on the last video. It means the world. If you enjoyed this deep dive, do me a solid and smash that like button, subscribe for more, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Until then, fly aggressive, fly smart, and may your EMP always be full and ready to put someone's ship to sleep. Catch you all in the verse. Monkey out.